Excuse me, sir. Would you like another hot take?
Yeah, definitely. Keep them coming.
How's it going, everyone? We have a fantastic volume for you. We're going to jump into the hot takes here in a second. Jacob will be going over some draft player profiles. I know you guys have been excited with the NFL draft coming up. Jordan will be talking about soccer. Kevin will have his Miller time. And of course, we will discuss some poker. So let's go ahead and get into those hot takes. First up, the Rangers. They're not going to make the playoffs even next year after winning the World Series. Rumors are swirling that the ownership group is happy with they won a title, so they don't want to open up the purse strings and pursue Jordan Montgomery or another starter that's desperately needed. I don't understand when owners do this. You know, to me, it just shows they're terrible owners when all they do is take the money after winning a championship and then run away. Shame on you, Rangers ownership. Shame on you. Next, the Bucks. They are now closer to a play-in team than a true contender. I know they're number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, but if you watch them, and again, since they made the coaching change, they're just not gelling together. And I think this is definitely going to set them up for a first round exit. It's just sad to see that with a team that just has so much talent and with a lot of their core players being near 30 or on the other side, that window will close pretty quickly, which hurts me being a Bucks fan. Finally, the Chiefs. I do not believe they're going to sign or draft any major offensive weapons. They have a great backup behind Kelsey, so they'll probably just be like, oh, we're good when he retires. You saw Rashid Rice start to come on, and we saw their running back Pacheco, and of course they got Mahomes. So I just don't think they're going to go out there and spend the draft capital on a first or second round, or whatever it would take to sign someone. I know T. Higgins is off, Mike Evans is off, but it just looks like, they're going to run it back. And I mean, they won. Why wouldn't they just roll with that? So those are my hot takes. Jordan, take it away.
The weather is warming up. It must be because all of these hot takes. And I got one for you. The United States women's national team will not win the Women's Gold Cup. They suffered an embarrassing defeat to Mexico, and they were able to bounce back in the quarterfinals, routing Colombia 3-0 thanks to a trio of first-half goals. And while they are clearly the best team in the tournament and should win, they won't. Their biggest test will be this coming semifinal against Canada tomorrow night. The team and program is in a transitional period at the moment as they await future manager Emma Hayes' arrival from Chelsea at the conclusion of her season there, and I think that has played a big role in their poor performances as of late.
Thanks, Jordan. These are my hot takes for the week. This is the best ever draft class for wide receivers. This year's draft class includes 3 top 10 talents in Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, and Malik Neighbors. These guys should all be studs in the NFL, and I think that all 3 can compete for Rookie of the Year this season. After that, you still have Brian Thomas, who caught 17 touchdowns last season, and you have Xavier Worthy, who just broke the 40-yard dash record, plus a bunch of other guys like Adonai Mitchell, Troy Franklin, Xavier Leggett, and Keon Coleman. It's a great year if you need help at wide receiver in Dynasty. Justin Fields will be traded for a 3rd-round pick to Atlanta. This is a trade that I think everyone wins in. The Bears get to draft their quarterback of the future. The Falcons get an upgrade at the position, and Justin Fields gets to go play with a great roster around him. It would be fun to watch Fields in an offense with Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. Atlanta could go from an underachieving offense to one of the better offenses in the league, maybe even top 10. And I think they could be a very exciting team with Justin Fields at the helm in 2024.
My hot take of the week is that running back Will Shipley out of Clemson claims that he's basically going to be the next Christian McCaffrey, and while I can't say I necessarily believe him or think that's going to happen, I will be keeping a close eye on him the next few months, and I think that you should too. Don't forget the name.
This is a poker hand I played at TCH in Austin, Texas. In this hand, the under-the-gun player limped. I overlimped next to act with pocket 4s. The small blind raised to 15. The big blind called the 15, and then me and the under-the-gun player also called as well. The flop came 9-5-4 rainbow, so we flop a set, let's go. The small blind now checks, the big blind now bets 40. The under the gun player calls, and here in position, I call to set the trap. The big blind is a player that likes to blast off with any 2 cards, and so my plan here is just to call here and see what he does on the turn. If he checks me, I can still bet. The turn comes in offsuit 7. The big blind now goes all in for $89. The under the gun player calls again, which is a little bit concerning as he's a very tight player who won't have a lot of 2-pair combinations in the situation. So it's definitely possible he can have us beat and that he's trapping as well. But I can't fold yet, so I make it the call. And if he checks to me on the river, I'm going to bet any non-one-liner boards. I don't get that chance though, as the river comes a 6. We go check, check, and the big blind wins with 5-8 offsuit for the rivered straight. The under the gun gets really tilted and he throws his hand face up onto the felt, showing that he had it 9-9, so he had it set over set. We were in really bad shape, and we get lucky to lose the minimum in this pot.
Okay, we are playing poker. Shuffle 2-1-4 in Dallas at 1-2 stakes. Now, I'm in the big blind and it limps to me, and I look down at the 9-5 of clubs and I check, and we go 5 ways to a flop. The flop comes the queen of hearts, the 9 of diamonds, and the 6 of hearts. The small blind and I check. Baron Gun now bets $10. Baron Gun 2 calls. The small blind folds, and I call. I check it in dark for a little bit of deception in case I make a hand. And lo and behold, the turn, the 5 of diamonds. So checked in dark goes to earn the gun, and he checks, and the earn gun plus 2 checks. So I'm hating that. The river now is the 8 of spades. So all flushes miss, so I bet $38. The earn gun now raises to 100. Iron Gun 2 quickly folds, and I debate folding, but I think my hand's too strong and under rep. So I call, and they show Jack 10 for the nuts. So I'm really hating that check in the dark there. It just came back to haunt me. And, it's one of those where if they would have bet on the turn, I would have really punished them, but it was a huge mistake on my part. So now let's jump into the next hand and note. Still playing at 2-1-4 shuffle again, 1-2, but this hand involves 2 maniacs that are just going crazy. So Maniac 1 that's earning the gun bets $15. Maniac 2 calls, the hijack calls, and I look down at aces on the button and I'm like, they must be punished. So I make it $71. And of course, Maniac 1 and 2 calls, so we go to a flop. The flop is the king of spades, the queen of hearts, the 7 of hearts. Both of them check to me, and now I down bet to 53, and Maniac 1 raises to 130, and Maniac 2 instantly shoves all in. I'm bemoaning what I have, and I just end up folding. I think one's on flush, but I can't beat 2 of them. Maniac 1 snap calls, and they agree run twice. The turn is the 5 of hearts, so I feel a little better because one of them hit the heart probably, and the river's a 9 of hearts, really feeling better. And then on the second board, it comes running spades, and they show Queen 5 of diamonds and Queen Jack of spades. So they chop it up, and it's one of those things where not what I expected. Figure at least one of them had the hearts, not that they both had middle pair and not much else really. I meant the one had backdoor spades. Again, that's the way the 2 maniacs had been playing. What do you think I could have done differently? Did I play about as well as I could have? Do you think I should have bet more pre-flopped on the flop? Tell me what you think I could have done differently to maybe have won or lost a little bit less. All right, look forward to seeing that in the comments.
Michael Pratt is a top 10 quarterback prospect in the NFL draft. He's coming out of Tulane, where he threw for over 9,600 yards, 90 touchdowns, and 26 interceptions. And he also ran for 28 touchdowns as well. He helped Tulane to 2 of their most successful seasons over the last 2 years. In college, he showed the ability to make big throws in tight windows, and he gets through his progressions well and has good ability to throw the ball on the move with accuracy. Overall, I think Pratt is a very good developmental prospect that could be a very good player down the road if he gets into the right situation. The ideal situation for him to go would be somewhere where he can sit behind a veteran quarterback for 2 or 3 years and develop into a very good starting quarterback. I think this guy definitely has the tools to become a success in the NFL. Joe Milton III is a good quarterback prospect for the 2024 NFL draft. He started his college career at Michigan before transferring to Tennessee. He's a bit of an older prospect as he did play 6 years in college football. And at Tennessee, he showed great precision throwing the football. He definitely has a big arm, as he showed at the Combine recently, throwing the ball over 70 yards in the air. This is a guy where when you watch his tape, his running ability also really stands out, as he was able to just truck guys. He looks more like Jerome Bettis than a quarterback when he runs the ball on the outside. I think that he's a guy in the NFL who could develop into a very good dual threat quarterback, where he could definitely run the zone read and other kinds of plays like the Philly special as well. He kind of reminds me of a slower version of Jalen Hurts. I think he's a big boomer bust prospect that should go in the 3rd to 5th round, and he's definitely worth taking in that area.
You want that plastic working come Miller time?
You know, I can foresee a lot of possible outcomes to this thing, and not a single one of them involves Miller time.
PMA. Positive mental attitude.
Welcome to Miller Time. I'm Kevin Miller with the Degenerate Gambling Life. And over the next few months, I'm going to be focusing my content on Dynasty football, as well as talking about the NFL draft and speculating on where players will go. In addition to that, the rookie draft in fantasy and where players will be moving up and down over the next month or so. And once the NFL draft happens and best ball tournaments open up, I will be focusing a lot on best ball and doing some streams for you guys on different type of builds. And of course, I'll be sprinkling in a ton of poker along the way. So if those things interest you, make sure you're tuning in to Miller Time every week. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It's free to do. It helps us out a bunch. We thank you very much. And without further ado, let's get into this week's episode. All right, on today's episode, I'm going to be discussing the NFL Combine, specifically the running back position, and a few of the winners and the losers that came away from the Combine. All right, first up, we have Trey Benson. I believe he's one of the bigger winners. He had a very fast 40 time and tested all around athletic, which was his profile coming in. So it's good that he showed he is who he is. And I think he will be the first running back taken in the NFL draft. In rookie drafts, 2nd round sound about right for both of those, probably. But ultimately, how interested I'll be in him for Dynasty or for this upcoming season of fantasy will depend on where he lands. But Trey Benson definitely had a good combine. The other guy that I thought you had an even better combine, but a lower prospect level, would be Isaac Guerendo out of Louisville. This guy had one of the top 10 all-time scores at the combine for a running back, over 9.9 out of 10, 99 percentile. That's very, very good. The problem is his profile coming in wasn't as high caliber, and he didn't have as many touches or opportunities in college to showcase his skills. So his draft stock in the NFL draft will probably be lower. I'm kind of getting vibes of Tyler Algier or Isaac Pacheco, maybe 5th roundish. Maybe he sneaks up into the 4th round with these good scores from the combine. But keep an eye on him. Don't forget about him. And if he lands on a good team, draft him. Now, not everyone had a great day. I thought that Bucky Irving out of Oregon showed a little slow on the 40. For his size, I think he should have been faster. And he didn't do very well in the vertical jump. I believe he was last out of all running backs. Not the biggest or most important challenge, so to speak. But Bucky Irving definitely goes down my rankings a few spots in the running back position. The other running back that I thought had an even worse day was, who is it? I know you know it. That's right. Our favorite Notre Dame running back, Audric Estime, had a very sluggish 40 time. I'm pretty sure I could have ran out there and been going side by side with his 4.7 something that he threw up. But history shows that guys that run that slow at the combine at the running back position don't have long or very successful careers in the NFL. Unless he's an outlier, he's sliding way down my draft board. Audric Estime, bye-bye. Sorry, Mr. Slow Guy. Those are my takes, first initial reactions. I still have to go through and watch a lot more videos, and I will be doing some of the other positions. But for now, that's my take on the running backs in the combine. Hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time.
soccer hooligans.
Welcome back to the Degenerate Gambling Life's Added Minutes. I'm Jordan Tennis. 10 games left to go in the Bundesliga, and Bayer Leverkusen have extended their grip on the top spot to a whopping 10 points thanks to a comfortable 2-0 win over Cologne in the Rhine Derby. In conjunction with Bayern Munich dropping points in their 2-2 draw against Freiburg on Friday, Leverkusen are now unbeaten in 34 games across all competitions this season. There was a wild ending in Spain's La Liga over the weekend when Valencia played host to Real Madrid. Valencia were holding a 2-0 lead after 30 minutes thanks to a big mistake on a back pass from Real Madrid defender Dani Carvajal. But just before the halftime whistle, Vinicius Jr. was able to grab a goal back from Madrid, and Valencia would continue to play well enough until Vinicius Jr. secured a brace on a header goal in the 75th minute. Drama would ensue in the 99th minute, game tied 2-2 as Luka Modric played in a corner for Real Madrid. Valencia would not do enough to clear their lines, and the ball would end up at the foot of Brahim Diaz at the far side of the pitch. Just as he was swinging the ball in for what seemed would be the final attack of the game, the referee blew the whistle to end the game, ball mid-air. The ball played by Diaz was headed into the net by Madrid's Jude Bellingham for what was surely the game winner and all 3 points to the visitors. Real's players would surround the ref in protest, wondering why would he blow the ball dead right there. Jude Bellingham would consequently be given a red card for his dissent to the ref. It is very wild to me that a game would be called at that exact moment. Valencia was unable to clear the ball out of their area, the ball didn't go out of play, and it's not as if Madrid were slowly holding the ball, passing the ball around. They immediately got the service back into the box. As much as I dislike Real Madrid, I think the ref was in the wrong, and the players and the club have a legitimate argument for why the play was not allowed to continue. I hope you guys enjoyed this edition of the Added Minutes. Hopefully my throat is doing a little better next week, but you guys have a good week.
Okay, fancy basketball. The playoffs are upon us. In 2 weeks, fancy basketball playoffs start in most leagues. So we're going to go over a couple of tips. First, make sure you're focusing and checking your team up until tip-off. If you have a player that is injured or doesn't play, you definitely need to sub him out if you can, because fancy basketball is a compiling stats for the week. If you're battling for playoffs, that person and their 3 or 4 more rebounds or points can definitely hurt you and make you miss the playoffs. The next tip, look for players that are going to be playing another game or two the next 2 weeks extra and turn over the bottom of your roster. It's very important. Again, compile those stats. Get a couple extra assists. Get definitely steals and blocks. Those are ones that are won by the slimmest of margins. So keep an eye on those players that will be having more games that are on the waiver wire and add them. And good luck, and hopefully can sneak into the playoffs and go on a run. Now, let's focus on fantasy baseball as it is starting to heat up. We're going to talk about players that are going after round 5 that are being viewed more as starting pitcher 2, maybe starting pitcher 3 at the upside, but definitely I think they can give you, in the right scenario, starting pitcher 1 upside. The first one is a little bit of a fancy darling. We're going to talk about Grayson Rodriguez. For the last 2 years, he has been considered one of the top 3 pitching prospects in all of baseball, and he showed it definitely last year. He's on the Baltimore Orioles, if you didn't know. He's going around 6 or 8 and just creeping up. So if he does creep in top 4, I definitely would look to maybe fade him, but in that 6 to 8 range, scoop him up. After his mid-July recall, he had a 2.58 ERA with more than a strikeout per inning. So he's someone that definitely, if he keeps that up, will come through with that starting pitcher 1 that we all crave. Next, Michael King. My beloved Yankees traded him away. Don't even get me started on that. I hate it that he was part of that package, because we always seem to trade away the pitchers we need and keep the wrong prospects, but I digress. Michael King, San Diego Padres starting pitcher. You gotta love that he's going to one of the best pitcher parks there is and has a pretty good defense behind him with gold glovers and platinum glovers. He's going in rounds 9 through 12. He struck out 30% batters last year. While that was as a long reliever and stuff, but he still had great numbers as a starter. And for the whole season, batters batted 223 against him. So, I mean, that's super low average. So, look to scoop him up in those later rounds. Next, going to talk about another meetup game that we quickly have coming up. We will be in Shreveport April 5th through the 7th. We're going to have a meetup game at the Horseshoe Casino at 1 p.m. Please come up to us, say hi. We'll definitely have some merch. We're probably going to be unveiling some new hats. So come up, play some poker and enjoy it and talk fancy sports with us. And if you haven't yet, please like, comment, and subscribe. And we look forward to talking to you guys next week.